I seriously hope that you listening to me right now aren't one of those fucking idiots that think Elon Musk is going to win anything important in the future. Because if you are, just turn the fucking channel off. You're a fucking moron. Just get out of here. I know that you guys dominate the market. Idiots. Fools. The spectacle was created for you. This video is for people who understand the real. And the real is looking at today's results from Alphabet and laughing at a 7.24% move because the idiots still don't get it. Elon gets it. He said so in the trial. He said he helped create OpenAI because of the threat of Alphabet that no one could stand up to them. Guess what? He was actually right. No one can stand up to them. But Elon doesn't care. He's going to milk you fools for all he can. But if you have a brain, you're going to look for something else. Now, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. You do your own due diligence. This is a clown's market. A 7.24% move when every question was answered about AI. AI can't make a return. Boosh! Alphabet jumps in the pool. 60% increase in Google Cloud revenues year over year. What are they going to do? They're going to go broke with this infrastructure. Boosh! Alphabet again jumps in the pool. Increase in the dividend by 5%. They make so fucking much money, they don't know what to do with it. Okay, let's just pay the dividends. Let's pay out more dividends. If they were hard up for cash, why would they be increasing their quarterly cash dividend? It's because they make so much money. They do not know what to do with it. We have never seen these types of numbers before. Chief clown Gene Munster, who called Google the next eBay, who said search was dead. Boosh! Alphabet jumping in the fucking pool. 19% growth in Google search. Trends don't die easy. Just because Amazon came along didn't mean that brick and mortar died the next day. It took 20 years and we still have Target. We still have Best Buy. We still have Walmart. Google search is going nowhere. They're growing revenue 20% year over year in Google search, and it's already a monopoly. Think of how hard that is to do. Alphabet's revenues increased in one quarter, 20% to $110 billion. Google Cloud saw meaningful acceleration in growth as revenues increased 63% to $20 billion. 63%. I've explained why. I used to have a lot of videos on this channel. I took them down because I got so angry, but I'm back to being angry. I have had enough of the spectacle. Sometime you fools have got to wake up. Yes, I know it's easier to watch some idiot just say, Elon's the greatest. Listen to me. He's the greatest. But it's time to actually use your own brain. Believe it or not, it's in your head. I'm telling you, it's there. Why would they increase 63% to $20 billion? Because they are the only one in the entire West that has the full stack. Actually, in the entire world. You could argue Alibaba, but they don't have their own custom TPUs. i.e., Google has custom TPUs. They have their own networking for these TPUs. And they have their own models. Nobody else has that. And their TPUs are well known to be the best AI processors in the world. Yes, it's not Nvidia. Nvidia is the best commercially available to buy. Google's aren't widely available yet. In fact, they said they should start delivering their first TPUs to customers by the end of this year. But they've been available in their cloud for the past year. TPV7, they've been available longer than that. And this is what gives Google such an advantage. Companies can't make money on AI. Google comes in. Google has an 80% advantage in cost in serving AI queries versus its competitors. Here is the most important thing I want to tell you right here. These outstanding results are built on a differentiated full stack approach. Yes, I mentioned that. But I want to tell you right here, our first party models like Gemini are now processing more than 16 billion tokens per minute via direct API use by our customers, up 60% from last quarter. That right there is the most important statement. Why? Because on this channel, I told you flat out that Google was going to be a fucking monopoly in AI. Okay, I said it without question. They would either be a monopoly or a duopoly. And I said that once they got in a lead, they would change their terminology, which is what they did. Nowhere in here are they talking about users on Gemini anymore. Why? Because of exactly what I told you before. The only threat to Google is governments. And if they came out and said, Gemini has 1.5 billion monthly users in the app now, governments would start saying, hello, time to fire up the antitrust. We're going to be pulling out more billions from Google. Apple did the same thing once they became the clear-cut leader in America for iPhone. They stopped saying units sold. Google's going to stop doing that. They're going to use this, processing tokens, because they got to give you an impressive number, but they don't want to tell government, hey, yeah, we are clearly the leader. We are a monopoly. OpenAI isn't even close anymore. And I also noticed that with Gemini, when I talk to it now, it will never recommend Gemini. If I just ask it an open question about a program and what I should use, it will never recommend Gemini. It will always recommend something like Anthropic, Alibaba, or even OpenAI. It will never say itself, though. And that's on purpose. These are signs that they are the largest player in this space. Because understand, that's done because of the numerous lawsuits, antitrust lawsuits they've had around the world, saying they favor their own products, et cetera, et cetera. But that's a great sign for us because it means that they are the leader. We have never seen numbers like this before. Net income, $62.5 billion. Now their actual, I call it actual net income, would be roughly this 39 billion here, except for that they made 37 billion in investment income, unrealized capital gains on a private non-marketable security. Suspected. I'm not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. This is speculation, spectacle. Suspected to be Anthropic or SpaceX or a combination of both. But 62 billion total, even without this, to increase from 30 billion to 40 billion in one quarter. Insanity. But this, if this was a one-off event, I would say, well, whatever. But all of a sudden, Warren Buffett has to be concerned because now this is the second out of 4 quarters that Google has reported over a $25 billion increase in such investments. Fool me once, shame on me, right? Fool me twice, shame on you. Is that it? They are starting to show that not only are they dominating in every single area, but now they're becoming an investment vehicle too. What is going on with this company? It is insanity. I don't know what to say. These numbers speak for themselves. They speak for themselves. Google search was supposed to be dead. Grew $10 billion, 20%. YouTube grew 10%, a little bit over 10%. Google network down 300 million because the web is dying. Not a big deal though. Google services total 12 billion up. Cloud 8 billion. Look at this cloud. This is so important. You might say, oh, out of that 20 billion, they had operating costs of 14 billion. That's what they're marking off for hardware. You see, Google does something called eating its own dog food, i.e. they run all of their loads on their own cloud. And then when they're not using it, they rent those servers out. AWS, Google, and Microsoft have that advantage. That's what Michael Burry failed to see for some reason. Or he didn't. And he just was talking about OpenAI and Anthropic and those companies. It could be that. To be fair, he never exactly pointed out Alphabet. But still, he spoke like the whole market was going to struggle, when obviously it's not. Google can add $180 billion in hardware because they are going to run not only their customers' load on it, which they have a $440 billion backlog, and this is not Oracle's $440 billion backlog, which is all one company. This is multiple companies, a multitude. But they're going to run their own services on their cloud, which, remember, if you look at companies like Meta, is spending $100 billion to run its own services. So I bet you that Google would have to spend about $100 billion for its own hardware anyways. But the beauty is it gets to expense it right against this cloud, and the cloud is still profitable. Unfreaking real. Cash and cash equivalents increased $8 billion. Marketable securities down $9 billion. So they must have converted something here. Total cash, cash equivalents, and marketable securities. This is basically, right, liquid assets. Roughly the same, $126 billion. They have so much money, they do not know what to do with it. Total assets, $703 billion. Over $108 billion increase over the prior quarter. Yes, their liabilities increased $45 billion. They had a $30 billion bond offering, I believe. 100 years. Some of them were 100-year bonds. This is a change of $475 billion in the green. That is a literal fortress. This is what Alphabet looks like, a real company versus a fucking fake company. Quarterly revenue, $109.9 billion versus $22.39 billion. Revenue growth year over year, 22% to 16%. Operating income, $39.7 billion, i.e., they just print money. Not even $1 billion. Net income, $62.6 billion, 40 if you don't include the 37 from Alphabet shatters records, yeah. The 40 from their investment. 0.48, $500 million. Pathetic. Operating margin 36.1%, 4.2%. This is pathetic. Pathetic. At this operating income, they would have to make $900 billion in a quarter to match Alphabet for operating income. Okay? For this, not for this. Do you understand that? That's why one is a promise company, is the spectacle, the other is the real. That's why one leads in the two technologies that are most important in the history of mankind, quantum and AI. Alphabet's the leader. I don't think you guys get it. Let me know down below. Take care.